Hey there, my name is Santiago Rosso, and today I'm going to be talking about different methods and aspects about learning a piece. Um, this could be applicable for any musician, but I'm going to be talking mostly about aspects for the piano because that is my instrument. I am a piano major in third year at Mohawk College. Um, we're going to talk about important things. First of all, daily practice, and then what is specifically important when you're learning a piece. Um, to start with, in daily practice, I like to always think about it not as a schedule and a specific routine, but specific things that I like to focus on every time that I sit down and practice. I like to start with warming up. Warming up is always important, whether I'm performing or just practicing. There are many ways to do this. You can apply scales. You can try to do scales inverted. You can obviously do them both hands, just one hand. But if you have a chance, I think there are better ways to explore these things in your warm up. I particularly like to explore Czerny books and Hanon books because not only do they really help with warming up your fingers, but they're also going to really help you improve your technique. Czerny in particular has some very good material for left hand, and that's something that we always need to develop as piano players. Hanon, the same thing. The dexterity and technique are going to improve a bunch if you're working on Hanon exercises. Finally, I like to explore Oscar Peterson etudes as much as I can because they really help me with my jazz vocabulary, understanding jazz harmony, and just getting the swing feel internalized as much as possible. And these are really fun to play. They're very easy. They're even going to help with sight reading, which is the next point. The next part of my practicing consists about improving my sight reading. I think this is extremely important for any musician. I like to work with gospel hymns because, first of all, because I love them. They have beautiful melodies, but then also and harmony. But then also they're generally four voices, so four-part harmony. So this really helps you develop a expanded view of your sight reading, and you're mastering more than one line simultaneously, and that's something that's always going to be useful. Finally, the third aspect that I like to explore when I'm practicing is improvisation. And for this, I like to explore two main aspects, scales and solos. Um, for the scales aspect, I look at it as scales, but you do much more than this. I like to grab a set of changes. You can grab any standard and it'll work. And explore different scales on top of every set of chord changes, and then see how you can use these scales to navigate your way through the tunes. Um, you can also obviously play around with patterns with these different scales, and that's going to help you develop melodies and have a better, architecture when it comes down to developing melodies to improvise. Finally, I like to lift solos. This is extremely important for any player. The way I do it is try to listen to them, try to memorize them, and therefore be able to sing them. And then once I can sing them and memorize them, which usually takes quite a bit, I try to play them on the piano. This is to some extent, some solos can be very fast, and it's not necessary to be able to scat them perfectly. But as long as you can really navigate your way through because you've internalized it, it's going to be easier to execute on your instrument. This is for my daily practice. However, it is also extremely important to expand your uh, uh, repertoire. And for your repertoire expansion, we're going to talk about learning a piece. In this case, I am working on "You Must Believe in Spring," and the way I went about this was first of all listening to as many versions as I could of the piece. I listened to the Bill Evans version, Oscar Peterson version, a Brad Meldau version as well. A Bill Evans version with Tony Bennett, which had the lyrics and was sung, which is very important as well, because the more you can understand that these melodies have an intention that singers really focus on, the better you're going to be able to play the melodies. This has a beautiful melody and has a beautiful relation to the chords. So the next step for me is learning the chord changes and how the melody relates to the chord that is hitting. So, for example, at the beginning of the piece, it starts with an E natural over a C sharp minor 7 flat 5, and this would be the minor third of the first chord. So that's how I would analyze the melody. I am going to also explore the different voicings I can apply over the melody, because there are certain voicings that are going to be more effective with a certain melody, and this is important to explore as well. Finally, the exploring part of this process of learning a piece is usually the funnest, but also the one that usually takes the most work. To do this, I like to explore different scales I can apply over the chord changes. For example, over a dominant chord, I like to explore altered scales, minor 7, half whole diminished scales. And also I like to listen to different solos and styles of this tune to kind of get more a larger context of how this tune can be executed and what are the different ways. So these are the three aspects that I use to do, and this is what I'm doing for this piece. I usually take between 4 days and a week to learn a tune. If I can apply these things in my daily practice every single day, it usually takes around 4 days or a week to really master a tune fully and to guarantee that you have it memorized and then that you're not going to forget it easily. I take usually around 3 to 4 hours to do this daily practice, including the learning of a piece and all of the different aspects. It's important to keep on your listening as well at the most you can, because the more you listen, especially in jazz, the more you can internalize the vocabulary and learn what this is about. So that's what I have to say about my methodology. This is for me. But obviously there are different ways of doing this. This is not the only one, but I hope this is helpful and insightful. Thank you very much.